welcome. We're going to see today how to make these lovely altered playing card pockets. Now, as you can see with this one, the pocket here is at the bottom. There's a lovely little charm there. It's a little blue shell because this is for the Water Babies theme journal. And within that altered playing card, you can see it's the 8 of spades there. Within that, we have got a couple of pieces of Tim Holtz ephemera, but another tiny little altered playing card. This one, the pocket's at the top. And again, you can see it's a playing card. And we've got 3 pieces of ephemera in there, one being this lovely little altered playing card. Now, the theme is Water Babies, so obviously you'd decorate, if you chose to make these, you'd decorate it however you wanted to for your theme. However, even though it is Water Babies, I have made some of these with little fairies inside. So there's my little fairy chappy on my little tiny card. You can see how small it is in comparison to my hand there. So without further ado, okay then, let's look at everything that I've used for this project. So I used my little charms that I bought in America. They are little shells. Here's my tray of goodies. I've got my wax acrylic wax, acrylic medium, my distress oxides. I've got some gold paint, some Winsor & Newton gold paint, dry glue, Fabri-Tac, Mod Podge down there in that little bottle, some clips. This is my fairy wings box. I've got fairy wings, I've got vintage playing cards, the tiny ones, and in here some larger ones. I have got paper scraps, like newspaper, very old book pages, scraps, napkins, mini paper dolls. I've got printer's foil in green, blue and yellow to match my theme. I've got, you can hear my husband in the background talking to the animals, chain. Those little circles that I just can't remember what they're called. I've got my grommets, because somewhere here is my crocodile. I've got some tools, cutters and pliers, and that's Norma Barking. In here I've got these are some of the laces that I dyed myself. I took some bits out of here to use. Keep them in that hat box. Oh, split pins, are they called split pins? I just can't remember. I have got my master sheet from Artfully Musing of the images that I've used, that I've printed onto blue paper to use. Cutter, and then a selection of Tim Holtz backwards and forwards, ephemeras. I think that's it. Paper people, have I said that? Hey there, I've decided I'm going to make 6 of the pockets, card pockets, so which is 9 playing cards to make the pockets. These are the vintage style that I've picked, and they measure, let's measure them for you, 2 1/4 by 3 1/2 inches, which is almost 9, just shy of 9 centimeters by just shy of 6. Then the smaller ones I'm going to work with, I noticed there were 2 different designs on the back, so I've picked 6 of each, so that there's 2 for each pocket, and they measure 4 centimeters by 6, which is 2 1/2 virtually by just over 1 1/2. I mean, the card size don't really matter. I mean, I've seen cards as big as an A4 sheet of paper. All that it matters is that you've got some that are smaller than the others that you're going to use as pockets. So these was Caspari playing cards, and these, I'm not sure what make these are, it doesn't say on them. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put these to the side. Oh, let me tell you what I've also got. I've got my Pritt stick, which is just a dry glue. It's like Yoo-Hoo, Pritt. They're the common two in the UK, apart from sort of like Shop's own brands of glues. So it's just the dry stick. I've also got my ink, my Distress ink, Vintage Photo, dabber, and some flimsy pieces of paper. And by flimsy, I mean your sort of newspaper standard. I think I've got one tiny piece of newspaper in here, but the rest are out of books and vintage books. This is some pattern paper. So I've just got a selection of those together to use. And that is all I've got on my table at the moment. So I'm just going to sit down now. I'm very organised. I'm going to take my 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which should leave me 3. Let's have a look. Let's keep a queen out. Do you know, I'm going to swap a quick, because I think these are much prettier. I'm going to pop a club in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then that leaves me 3 to cut in half. Now I'm going to cut them on the diagonal there. I'm going to do some this way. I'm going to do some so that this is the corner. I'm going to do some that might be the corner. So let's just cut some in half and we'll see what happens. So that is going to go from there to there. So you just have to line up your corners. So you could either do these like that if you wanted to. So that's quite cool, isn't it? How they match up and you get the queen and the queen in the diamonds and the clubs. I think I'll keep that one actually. We've got the flower of the red, which looks quite nice with the black there. So let's cut another. So I'm just, if you can see there, I'm lining up what the 2 diagonally opposite corners. Let's take that down. In fact, I'm going to turn this one over and then I get pictures and numbers on different sides of the card. So by that I mean, so whereas this one here has got the flower, this one here on the same side is going to get the number 5. So we'll put that there. That's a 1, a 2, 3. How are we doing this? Which way are we doing this? I think that'll look quite nice. 4. So if you put them, I'm just stacking them here. I don't think you can see. I'm stacking them together in the pairs that I want them to be. I mean, you could always just, so you don't forget, but you'll probably change your mind about a million times, is you could put a little, one of these little clip on, just to remind you how you wanted them to look. The groovy queens there, I think that looks really good. Yay, I like that one. So yeah, that's easiest, isn't it? Just to clip them together, because no matter how you plan them, you will have forgot what you're doing. Let me, sorry about my arm, just decide how I want these to be. So I could either have the red flower. I mean, you could go for a top pocket, couldn't you? Actually, let's keep the carnation if it's a poppy. I think it is poppy. Let's keep the poppy the right way up there. Where's the other one we did with a poppy? See, I've put that one upside down. Perhaps that poppy will look better that way up, won't it, with the poppy the right way around. Each pairing. So that's like that. I'm going to get my Pritt stick. Am I within frame here? Do I need to come down a bit? Shall I zoom in a little bit now we've got rid of the cutter? Right. So I'm going to get some Pritt stick. Now I'm not putting it all over. I'm just being wild and random and just putting some bits on. Just bits of glue. Then I'm going to take my paper and just sort of stick them on, stick the papers on. Now they won't be stuck down fully. You should be able to lift them like this. And let's take the bone folder and let's do this. Because what we want now, we need for these to dry, and we don't do anything until these are dry. So dependent on your climate, etc., it could be, that's great, it says notebook there. It could be tomorrow, couldn't it, before they dry. We are particularly warm here, not just warm, but very muggy at the moment. There's that. Let's put a little bit of glue down here. Let's change it for a little bit of pattern paper. I love doing things like this. Let's put some pattern paper on. There we go. Now I'm going to put these two together so that I know that they are one kit, as it were. In fact, I'm going to put that on top of them. So that's one little kit there. Now I'm going to get my next one. So these are going to go here, deciding on this format here. So again, some bits of glue. In fact, if you put that there and you sort of can work out where your glue needs to be rather than putting glue all over it. Because you don't need, obviously do not need to put glue inside the pocket. Let's try this little bit of paper. Oh, it's got a little tiny face on there. It's a little face. Where's my finger? There it is. It's on the end of my hand. Little face on there. So let's pop that on there. And this side. Oh, do the same. Oh, it's dry glue, but this is incredibly sticky dry glue. Here's some, this is a paper, is very, very thin. It's a very old paper, this, and it's actually French. So we'll put this on. We'll take a bit off there and we'll stick that onto there. I can see a little tiny bit of glue there, so let's put a little bit of that on there. So we'll put those together. So that's another set. So we literally need to let these sets dry. So here are my 6. Let's just tilt up. You can see them here. 2, 4, 6. All drying. So hopefully they'll be dry soon and I can come back to you. Well, even if it is overnight, it'll be like 5 seconds to you. See you soon. Okie dokie. So it actually dried quicker than I thought. It took about an hour for the first one to dry. So I'm up to this stage now and I'm going to show you how I got there. So what I did, or what you do, is you take your card and you literally, that wasn't stuck on much, was it? Tear off those pieces of paper. Now sometimes you just get a ghost. Sometimes you'll get more like there. You need to go around and tear off. There we go. Now what I'm actually going to do, oh no, because that is going on there, isn't it? Yep, I was going to put another piece up there, but it's not worth it. So we do the same again. We tear off these bits, and this is always a surprise because who knows what's going to happen when you tear off. So we've just got that little bit there. And this is why the thinner your pieces of paper, the better. That's not stuck down there. So there we go. Those will go to the scrap bin. Now then, what I did next is I got my ink, Tim Holtz, got my dabber, and I literally went over the areas where I'd put the paper on. I went around the edges, well that one, because I'll do the other. No, we'll go around the edges now. Let's go around the edges now. There we go. Now also what I failed to say is the back of your card, make sure if you're using a picture that that's the right way up as well. So there we go. And then I got out my Fabri-Tac because I wanted a good adhesive, and I went around, narrowly around the edge. That's there. Just move that to one side. I pop that on. There we go. And using my little clippies, I just, particularly on those edges, I clip them down to make sure they were stuck down. Now, you can leave it at that. You do not have to stitch around like I did. In fact, part of me, tonight in particular, wished I hadn't started stitching around, because sod's law, my attempt at stitching has been as stressful as my day. I'm just going to put that to one side to dry. Keeps in with the theme. And then I couldn't go around the corners on my cards because it just kept slipping. So the card kept slipping and what have you, so I haven't gone around the corners. So I'm just going to re-grunge around there again. Thank you, Ross. That's my lovely hubby bringing me a lovely pins and lemonade. So when I've done this bit, I'm going to sit in my chair and have a little relax. So I'm going around the edge. I'm going to turn it over and go around the edge again. And particularly where it was sort of eaten by the sewing machine. So I have got little bits of thread sticking up. Can you see? There, there, there. This one I didn't cut it off properly. There's a little bit there. There's some knots, but hey ho, I thought they looked nice. So now I've got my, this is just the Elmer's glue, the school glue, PVA mixed with a bit of water. Very, very similar to Mod Podge. And cheaper than Mod Podge, because I just buy like a big, I think, well I don't, hubby buys me, there's a theme going on here, isn't there? Hubby buys me great big, like 5 litre PVA glues from the hardware store, and then I just mix it with water and top it up there. So I've got my, because remember this is a water theme, so here are my doilies, not my doilies, these are my napkins. You have to think of words, don't you, when you get to a certain age. So there's a blue flower, which is actually pretty beautiful there. It would actually look really lovely on there. I've got only one of these with the shells on. Only one. Luckily, it's a large one and I'm not doing many cards. This is another, the same there as the flower. My friend Hilary gave me these. These come from Scandinavia. They come in 1 ply. And they are used by guests when you have biscuits and coffee in Scandinavia, just a 1 ply napkin. That's the same, which is lovely. So this is my other blue and white. And all my others have got blues and other colours, but I specifically wanted to stick to blue and white. So I am actually going to use this one. Now I could, in all intents and purposes, just tear that out, but I'm not. I've got my little pen, my little watercolour pen, and I've got water in this end, and I'm actually going to cut out using water. Let's get it coming down and through. There we go. I'm going to cut out the shape on the napkin that I want. Now if you want to, you could do this before you stitch your napkins, your cards together. You don't even have to put the paper on the vintage papers on your card. You can just use this directly onto your card. It's entirely up to you, isn't it? Your art, your choice. So now I'm just going to tear round where the water is on the napkin. Oh, you know when you just want to breathe. Just want to go and breathe. And as I'm crafting, I can feel myself calming and calming and calming down. And it is a lovely, lovely feeling. There we go. I always think this raggedy edge looks far nicer than cutting with scissors. You may prefer it cut with scissors. Your choice. So there's my flower. And I'm going to put that onto there. Let's have a see how I'm going to put it. So, Kelly Snow. I just think this is an amazing way of doing this. Ooh. Oh, that's the better way up. Kelly Snow uses a bit of dry glue, like this. So I just think this is a fabulous, fabulous technique. Puts that exactly where she wants it. Then uses a Mod Podge. This isn't a Bobbi Brown makeup brush, by the way. This is a fake Bobbi Brown makeup brush. And then she just goes over the top there with the Mod Podge. And you get a much smoother finish. And yeah, it doesn't seem to crinkle up. There we go. That's that on there. How absolutely stunning on there does that look? And all we do after is get the nail file when it's dried and file that off. So I just want to put something here. I'm going to put another of these flowers, I think. I'm going to put one of these type down here of the same napkin. Or do I put like little... That's quite nice, isn't it? Where you get the two. We'll do that. I can't read that, but that is the make of the napkins. And Hilary, my friend, has a friend who visits her regularly from Finland, I think Hilary says. And she always brings her packs of napkins down. So she specifically asked her next time she comes down to the UK to bring some napkins for me, which will be amazing. Be amazing. I've asked for some Christmassy ones, if at all possible. I mean, I've offered to pay. So, that, oops, torn that a little bit too. It was a little bit too. Let's tear that right now. It's a little bit too hand heavy there. Don't throw your bits of napkin away. Hang on to them. Yes, I'm sure Hilary will give her the money for them, and then she'll just give them to me, Hilary. And she'll say, oh no, she didn't want any money for them, darling. Because that's how my friend Hilary is. And in fact, I would do exactly the same for her. And in fact, she wants a craft room tour. And my craft room's all set up. This new one. Right, so let's get the dry glue again. Put that there. A little bit of glue. on, whoops, on there. Now this bit I think is crying out for a word, isn't it? Putting a word on, but I'm not going to do. I'll put my word, gone a little bit Liverpool there. I'll put my word on when I've finished it and I get exactly the right sentiment. There we go. So there we go. This is quite a long process. However, it is a relaxing process and it is a very, very fulfilling process. So I'm going to pop that one to one side. This one I'm not going to stitch because, like I said, we don't have to stitch. And this one, let's put some shells on this one. So I do love, now this is much more flimsy, this napkin. I do love this long shell here. So I'm going to put that here because remember this is a top corner pocket. Whoops. Do you know, I forget. I don't know if it's the United States or China. Because you order these things off Amazon and they come in a plastic bag and you don't know where they've come from. However, it tightens up and untightens completely the opposite way around than we do in the UK. So can you see how very, very quickly this is cutting this one out? Yeah, so I turn the wrong way and then end up tipping, oh, I've just done it again, end up tipping water everywhere. Right, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue on because I think this has got to be a quick move. So what we're doing here, we're building up layers and we're building up texture. Sometimes you could just do with an extra hand, couldn't you? Oh, that just make life even more confusing. Answers below, please. So I'm going to put this here. Oh, that's lovely. That is lovely. Oh, I love that on there. That's just... Oh, how lovely does that look? That shell on there. So we've still got our vintage grungy-ish style card. However, I'm still keeping to my theme of the water babies in the sea. Because so from this I've not used any shells. I'm using the colours of the sea or colours of the ocean. And not the Caribbean, the colours of the beautiful seas around Scotland. And for this one I've got the shells on, so right, I'm in shot here. Let's just take this one off here. But no matter what you were doing, you could do, once you've got your basic shape, i.e. this, let's take those off now. Once you've got this shape, you can start then to decorate it however you wish. However you wish. So let's get our, I think this is like a scallop shell. Carefully take that off there. The other thing with it being warm here, this is drying rather quickly. Anyway, we've supposedly got another heat wave on the way. So we've had all this absolute tons of rain. And when I went to work today, we've done an allotment with the children. And it's just amazing. I'll have to add the YouTube channel link here. And so you can go and have a look at what we've been doing. You'll see the children. There's full consent of parents for children to be on the channel. Hello, Norma. That's my son's dog just come in. Yeah, and today I got there and our courgettes had grown and I was like, yeah, I was so excited to bring the children out to harvest the courgettes. I think they were doing that after I'd left though because of everything else going on. So there was the courgettes to harvest, but our pumpkin arch, I'm thinking, am I ever going to get a pumpkin arch built? You know, well, I've got the arch built. Guess who built the arch? Yes, that hobby of mine. So the pumpkin arch is built, and the pumpkin's growing over the top of it. Now, we are only growing tiny pumpkins, but that it is so exciting. So what I'm going to do now is, with these other 4 cards, I'm going to decorate like this. I'm not going to force these dry. I'm going to leave these and it will... Okie dokie. So just while they're drying, I've decided to start prepare these little cards so that they can dry overnight as well. And we'll be ready to for me to continue crafting tomorrow. So yeah, little change of plan. So I've got, excuse me, all my little pieces are torn off. So I thought, waste not, want not. So here we go. So these are the bits that I literally tore off. So I'm going to put some more onto these cards, some more bits on. I've made sure they're all the right way up because I do like having my writing all the same way up. I know, that's just me. You can do whichever way up you want, but I do like my writing all the same way up. So I'm literally going to go along as we did before and stick all these little pieces of paper on here for the glue to dry overnight. And tomorrow I can tear them off. Now some of them are just so beautiful. I don't feel I want to cover those, so I'm going to swap them in my box after. I can't for the life of me cover up one of those beautiful faces. A couple of seconds for you, 36 hours for me. Here we are. Here is a, ooh, that was a bit too close. I would say finished little, well, yeah, finished little wallet to hold the little tiny cards in, playing cards in when they're finished. So I'm really pleased with how it's turned out, and I'm going to bring you up now from this stage, which is the stage with the decoupage on, as I showed you, to how I got it to this stage, which is very, very straightforward. What I did, I let the decoupage dry, and then I actually did stitch around. Then any long pieces, I just got my trusty nail file and tried long, overlapping, and just took those pieces off. These bits you can put in your scraps box or in your bin, depending on what you prefer to do. And then, as you can see, I have some I just stitched around the one time round. Some I've stitched around sort of wobbly twice around. Stick down a little bit. If you stick down like that, either just lift it or pop your bone folder in. Right, so let's show you how I got this. So this one's got the pocket on the bottom left. This is the top right pocket. Let's show you how I got this to this. This is your next stage. So basically I got some printer foil, which you can buy in rolls like this. It actually works out cheaper buying it in rolls like this because you get so much. I bought this one Christmas about, oh, I'm sure it was during COVID, and I'm still working my way through it. Or you can buy in the little packets. Oh, just knocked the fabric tack over. You can buy the little packets where they come in little oblongs. Now I think that these are expensive compared to these, but to buy a lot of these in different colours you would have to lay out a lot initially. So I've got about 3 or 4 cups. I've got purple, green, gold, and I've got like a bronzy colour now. So I'm slowly building up my stash of these, and in the meantime I'm supplementing more other colours with these. So I picked out the green. I thought, let's think about the sea. I got the green, I got this turquoisey blue out, and I got this quite a dull gold. These are the vintage colours that I bought. So then got I've got a bone folder, I've got my dry glue, and I literally just dotted glue around. Another thing you could do if you wanted lines of dots would be to put glue dots on, and then you get the round circles of dots, but I didn't want to do that for this. I think I have shown it in other videos. I will show it again in the future because it is a technique that I use. So trusty bone folder over there, shiny side up, please remember that, and then just tear that off, and there you can see the shininess on there. Then I got the glue again, dotted it around, went in with the next colour, which is, I've got the gold to hand here, so I'll do this one. Got the gold. You don't have to do bone folder, you can use finger, you could use a ruler, you could use the end of your scissors, whatever you choose to do, just to flatten that down, and then just pull it off. And you can just see the gold in there. It's a very subtle gold, that one. Back to the old glue stick, put some more on, and get the green. And you can use and use and use these pieces until they become see-through, clear, and then obviously there's no metallic left then. So yeah, this is called printer foil if you want to buy it on the rolls, and I got mine off eBay. So we'll tear this one off, and that's that one. Now, as you can see, it's different than this one, but this one has been treated as well with a sealant, which I'll show you shortly. But it's just a completely different layout of the metallics, but that's just how they turn out, and that's the beauty of dotting the glue on. So when you've done that, so that's like that, I then got some rub and buff, so any gilding paste would do if you want to do this next, or you could use a silver like fibre tip pen, you could use silver, the pots of gilding, you could use silver paint, and I just literally put a tiny little amount on a piece of card like that. Then I get a little tiny bit on my finger because I don't mind getting my fingers messy, and then round the edge I go. See what I'm doing? Just a little bit around the edge, polishing it up with my other finger. To me, if I've not got messy fingers, then I've not had a good afternoon in the craft room, or evening as this is now. And this just washes off fairly easily with a good soap and water hand rub. Yeah, so I'm just going to pop that there. I'm not going to treat it yet. I'm just going to allow that to dry a little bit. And because the layers underneath are all unique and individual, that just means, and the layers on top are unique and individual, that the cards just all do look different, even though they're all made in exactly the same manner. I don't know why I'm looking for the right way up. It doesn't really matter at this stage. Now in here, this little pot here, I've got some acrylic wax, it's called, and you can get this at any good craft shop, or you can get it online. I've got a little paintbrush, and I'm just, oh, hang on, I haven't done my gilding, have I, around that one? Let's just do my gilding around this one. So yeah, you can buy the acrylic wax at any good craft shop or online. And I just like the finish that the acrylic wax gives. It is a really nice sealant. Right, let's just let that one dry a little. So this is the one that I showed you first. And I'm literally just going to paint that over this acrylic wax. Now it does dull down the metallic just that little bit, but it's all sealed in. So if you get little pieces that, whoops, that one's obviously not stuck. If you get little pieces that are sticking up or what have you, it fastens them down for you and just makes your job neater and will make your paper craft last a bit longer too. You don't need a thick coat of this, just a quick once over, and it does dry relatively quickly. It isn't really weather dependent, I don't think. I did this about 5 minutes ago and it's dry now. So that's that one done. That one. So those three are now ready to rumble. So they're ready for me to stuff with what I'm going to put in the middle. Ready for me to put a hole in to dangle a charm from. We've got a corner pocket, we've got a top pocket, we've got a bottom right pocket. So I'll see you very, very soon when we start to decorate these tiny ones. So here we are, ready to crack on with these tiny cards. I haven't glued any of these people on yet. I showed you that I'd stuck the paper on, and then when I've pulled it off, the scrap paper, this is what was left over. So we've got some nice little backing and texture there. I have cut these little people from my Artfully Musing. I printed this onto some blue sort of paper because it's had this like splodgy sort of background, so it's a little bit watercoloured in the background. So yeah, Artfully Musing on Etsy. That's what I've used for these little people. And of course, these little people are very recognisable as the Tim Holtz Tiny People. So what I'm going to do is put them all together and we'll start to decorate them. Okie dokie. So because I'm working on the glass, because I'm going to be doing some distressing, let's move them down to there, then I know exactly where I'm in frame. So because I'm going to be doing some distressing, you do get a bit of the ring light. I'm sorry about that, there's nothing I can do. So let's work through and start with the first one. So I'm going to check first of all that my card is the right way up, and it is. I'm just sitting down. So I'm going to get, I'm just standing up, my other distress ink here, the Tim Holtz Vintage Photo. So I'm literally just going to add a bit of distress across the card onto these pieces. There we go. It's a hot day, so I'm covering up. I'm going to get some of this blue. It's called Blueprint Sketch, and I need to have a good rub on there because it's a new sponge. And I'm actually going to ink around in blue. Never ever be afraid of, you know, using different colours. You don't necessarily have to ink around in your vintage photo all the time, you know. Just get out there and use some different colour. I'm taking it a little bit more onto the card, as you can see. Right, so then my little girl here, just lift that there. My little girl here, I'm just going to edge her in blue as well. She's pretty. Now she will be my focal point. She just, widthwise, just fits on there. Right, I know I'm covering some of the paper up. That is just how it's worked out, and that is how it is. So she goes on there. And let's put a little bit of, let's have a look at this. This is some fabric that I dyed myself, but it does actually look a little bit, because it's ran, which I wanted it to run, it does look a little bit watercolour. Let's have a see if this will fit behind her in any way. If we think maybe a bit of green. Yeah, we could put that little bit of green on, couldn't we? Let's cut that off. So I've got my scraps and bits together. In fact, we could just put that on top there. She could be bending down to that, couldn't she? So I've got some scrap laces, as you can see, just been through, sort of picking out the colours that I like. And I've also got some, underneath the glass, just these tiny pieces of the Tim Holtz ephemera. So I think I'll put, this little number's just jumping out at me there, I'm going to put that behind her. So I'm just going to use the brown Distress ink. I'm going to put that in the top corner behind her. Oh, it's there. It's one of those days. It's one of those days where I've got too much to do and not enough time to do it. But I'm just going to be organised, very organised, and just basically do what I need to do. So I'm prioritising. So my first priority today is this. So I'm going to stick that just there. It's just seeped out a little bit in that top corner. This is just kitchen roll. I'm trying not to use those nappy wipes because they do, unless disposed of correctly, they do clog up things. I don't think they're very good, not very biodegradable and things. So, right, the reason I'm using Fabri-Tac too and not just ordinary paper glue is because I'm doing these for demonstration purposes, and I have learned very, very quickly that the Fabri-Tac is the quickest to dry. For me to show you what I'm doing. So that can go on there. As you can see, some of the blue is smudging behind, you know, because of the glossy surface, and I quite like that. So that's on there. And then I'm going to get my little piece of this. I'm going to put this on here. That can just go there like that. Now, to me now, that is virtually finished. Virtually. I'll tell you, I've got a couple more things I need to do to it, but I'm just going to move it to one side here. I'm just going to let it dry. And I'm bringing in the next one, which is this lady. Let's make sure my card's the right way up. It is. So I'm going to, again, go around in the blue. I'm going to use some of the brown on my paper. Let's rub some of the blue off there. Right. So this lady, beautiful lady, who I'm also going to edge in blue. Everybody's at everything and everybody's edged in blue today. So I have this little box here, and in it are all my fairy wings. So I need to go in, and I need to find this lady some fairy wings. These are my bits and pieces for making the wings. And if I have to put some down, because she's so tiny, then I will have to put some down. I have got tiny wings, however, everything's still away in my craft room yet. So I'll have to make do with what we've got. That is how I'm working at the moment, with what I've got. So I'm going to cut off these bottom wings here. These are from Tim Holtz as well, the transparencies. I'm going to cut those off. And I'm going to use those, let's keep those to one side, as her wings on here. Now, move it that way up. I might have to cut them, then I can position them. Yeah, I'm going to have to cut them, then I can position them exactly how I want them. And what can we put behind her? Do you know, because of the blue and the grey and the black, I think I'm going to put some flowers on with this lady. So this is a bigger flower piece, but I'm just going to cut off what I want. I'm going to edge it in the blue, not the blue, the brown. And I'm going to glue that a little bit on. Am I still in frame? Yes, I am. Just going to pop some glue on here. So warm. My Fabri-Tac is like a blooming volcano going off. I'm going to stick that down there. I do like numbers and letters on things, do you? I'm a bit of a... So I might just cut off 1923. And I'll just edge that. Can you see how I'm not keep going back, dipping this in the ink, because I've done it once, so I don't need to keep dipping and dipping and dipping. We'll put that there and put that number there, 1923. Let's get our lady, put some glue on the back of her. Whoops. Here I am. Just got some glue on her. Get my wings, set my wings. That's one. I know there's no fairies in the sea. Well, no, how do we know there's no fairies in the sea? We tend to associate mermaids, but I just thought, I'm going to move that up a bit. She is so lovely that this journal is so magical. She is so lovely as well, but the journal is so magical. I just want magical things for it. Right, so there's the two little taggy cards there. So what I'm going to do now is get my very thin paintbrush. Now I've got some liquid gold paint somewhere, but again, not quite sure. So I'm going to use some Winsor & Newton gold. I'm going to put a little bit in my dish here at the side. See that there? Right, I'm going to take my tiny thin brush. Let's hope this works the same as liquid gold. I'm terrified. And I'm just going to paint that gold around the edge. You see? It's not easy to paint on this glossy surface. I might just have to sort of dab it on and hope for the best. The liquid gold would have been better, but hey ho, beggars can't be choosers. Things packed up in boxes and all sorts. It will eventually be moved across, so I'm just sort of dabbing it on a little bit, just so it takes on the card, on the glossy card. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love that sort of dotting effect. Look at that. Okay, do you like that? Very pretty, isn't it? Let's just pop that one down to dry. It should dry very quickly because it is very, very warm. It is wonderfully warm, actually. So I'm going to the supermarket shortly. Just need a few bits and things for our tea. Now our tea here in Lancashire. Our tea is our evening meal. So I thought I'd get some nice jacket potatoes and salad. So that jacket potato and salad type of day. I'll probably get some pizza or something to go with it. So these, I know, are going to take a little bit to dry now. There we go. I'll put them both in my hand. You can see how tiny the cards are. There we go. So I finished all these little cards now, and they're really, as you can see, rather pretty. They're just drying at the moment, not from the paint, but I've coated them all in the acrylic wax just to seal them, to give them some longevity. So as they're drying, I've just started to add these little charms. These are little seashells that I got, seashell charms that I got when I had my trip to the United States. I'm not sure if I'll keep that one like that. I think I will make that longer. I prefer the long chain than it not quite fitting. So let me show you how I did this one. So I got my card and I've had a look which is the right way up. And now I can either go at the bottom there or at this side. So if I do this side, I'd need that to be on that side of the page with the dangle hanging over the edge, or I can go to the bottom and have it coming out the bottom. Well, I think I'm going to choose just to have it coming out of the bottom. So I'm going to punch a hole with my crocodile, get a blue. I'm going to go blue this time, it's pale blue. Little grommet, and just fasten that in. Easy as that. Easy peasy. I've got some chain. This I just got from Amazon. I've had it years. It just seems to keep lasting forever and ever. I sort of select the length that I want and cut. If there's any noise in the background, it's my husband. He's mowing the lawns, so you might hear the lawnmower and the strimmer and things going there. So I'm going to fix this end of the chain here. Let's get that and fix that end of the chain. Come on, here it goes into this hole, onto that grommet, and just close that back up again. Easy as that. And then I'm going to get another link, another jump ring. Here it is. Open this one up. This little gadget came with my jump rings. I didn't know what it was for years until I saw Scottish Mudlarks actually using it, and then I realised what it was for. Well, she was making some jewellery, and we just close that off again. It's as simple as that. So there we go. So I'll be back soon putting these little beauties in these bigger beauties. So now we're at the end stage of the assembly line. We're going to put our altered playing cards into our little altered playing card folders. I've finished putting all the charms on. So some I've done very long to dangle out of the bottom of the journal so that those are not bulking up the pages, because they're quite a bulky little shell there. Sorry about my fingers, you can tell I've been crafting, can't you? Some I've put on the ball pin. So these again can be put right on the edge of your page so that those just hang outside of your page. That goes with any trinkets you might be using. That's a long one to come out of the side of a page. So I've tried to vary it for different places I might want to put these in my journal. And these two are on the long, different lengths. I've just staggered my way through. So this one has my flower at the top, is a top pocket. So what I need to decide now is what I'm going to do, what I'm going to put in there. So I want something really with design at the bottom. So if I say look at that one there, and then I'm going to put into it also a Tim Holtz. Let's have a look if this will fit in. Little calling card, that looks really pretty. This is a Tim Holtz ephemera. Just going round in my blue, what was it, blueprint. I'm going to pop that into there like that. There we go, into there. And then put my little lady just in front of it. There we go. How lovely does that look? There we go, the finished piece with its little dangle for In the Water Babies journal. So that's that one. Let's just pop it to the side there. Right, next one. So this is the top, this dangles at the bottom. So I'm going to put into this one that's got the fabric at the top there. So I just need to look which Tim Holtz. I just got a little selection of Tim Holtz ephemera that might fit in these little card folders, altered plain card folders. This is the exciting bit, isn't it, putting them together? So let's have a look. We pop that in there. It says calendar 1896. Pop that into there. And then we take this and we pop that into there. We can actually see where it says calendar there. So that's nice, isn't it? I mean, if you want to, you can put more than one in these. You could put a couple in. You could put them in like sideways if you wanted to. That would look quite pretty. Yeah, you could put a number in. So that's the second one. Right, let's go for the third one. It's this one. So I'm going to use another calling card. Look at this one. May many friends complete your joy. It's pretty. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Let's pop that into there. Oh, does it just fit snugly in? Just fit it snugly in. Just down. You know, at the side of that. Will it? No, it pops up a bit, but that doesn't matter. I mean, I could put another one in, like the Baltimore Steam Pack. And let's maybe put this little girl in. Pay to the order of this fairy. That looks nice. So yeah, you don't just have to go for two. Go for 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you want to stuff in these. Right, let's pop another in there like that. Yep. Let's stuff these pockets. This one say public school. They don't all need to be inked either. I'm going to ink that one. It's your choice. It's your choice, your journal, your choice. Right, I'm going to put that like that because it is nice when they extend out a little bit more. That's 3. So this one, oh, this is an ink, I think. Stimpson's Commercial Writing Fluid. Do you know, I've just been watching something about Stimpson's ink on my mudlarking videos that I like to watch. Somebody found a Stimpson's bottle. That can go in there. So who shall we pop in here? I think we'll pop our little boy fairy into there. Oh yeah, that looks cute. And look at this, already edged in blue. Let's take that white bit off. I'm so pleased with how these have turned out. They are a lot of work, a lot of little tricky parts to it, but don't they look really rather pretty? That's 4. This is number 5. Yeah. Pop that one in there. I'm going to put one of these smaller ones. This is the Engineers Club of Philadelphia, 1913. Doesn't the blue look lovely on that edging? It looks really pretty. We'll put that down there, then it sticks out down there. And then which one should we put in? Oh, I do like this little boy here with on his luggage label. He will go in. If there's a little bit of glue inside, you saw me stick my finger in, but you can always, if you don't want to stick your finger in, just do it with your bone folder just to lift it. So let's put those back and get my little boy on his luggage rack. There he is. So we can bring this one sort of, put it there. There we go, little boy on the luggage rack. And then, so I'll put photographs of all of these individually at the end. Oh, this one now. Which one am I going to use? I mean, the others, altered cards, just because I'm not using them in these little folders, doesn't matter. I'll use them either in the journal or in other journals, add them to my stash. So let's put these in. Carriage Works. Put that one like that. Oh, which one? Come on, you tell me. Which one do you think? Come on. They're all so pretty, aren't they? I'm going to have to go for one of the beach. So I'll go for one of these 3. Do you know, I'm going to go for the little girl there. Just looks like she's doing a bit of washing in the sand. That is so pretty. So there we go. There's our 5 little playing cards left over. And they'll just go in my ephemera pile for this journal. And here are the 5 finished products, which I will individually photograph because they look nicer photographed than on this glass, you know, with a nicer background. So there they are, completed. So I hope you have enjoyed this series of videos and that you have a go at making these yourself. If you do, please let me know. I'd love to see your picture. You can post it on my Facebook page, my Be Divine Vintage Facebook page. So thank you for watching. I'd love you to comment below. I'd love you to subscribe as well. And keep abreast of what I'm up to in my new craft room. So thank you. Can't wait to use these.